Okay, I'm going to make this video for the second time, and I'm going to make it quicker this time. So money is an energy, right? And it's a currency. When you borrow money from people and you don't pay them back, then you block that currency in your life, right? It has nothing to do with a person. It has everything to do with you. And it's one thing if a person forgives a loan, and that's even a problem there too. So the problem that we have with money is that it likes to be circulated. So if you have a person who's a billionaire, millionaire, you notice they're always giving money back to some cause. And when they give that money back to a particular cause, they also get a tax deduction. So there's no real concept of them just being benevolent, right? They're giving money away, they're getting something back. Now, most people choose causes that mean something to them. So in that case, they are doing a good thing from the bottom of their heart. But there are people that you see that they do it because it's a currency. If they give it out, they will get it back in some form, and they understand the energy exchange. Poor people don't understand that energy exchange. Poor people look at it with a poor mentality. Well, you have it to give. Why should I give it back? This has nothing to do with what I have. It has everything to do with what you don't have and what you are trying to get. That is why it's called an energy exchange. By no other token other than anything else, it is simply if you get the energy from someone, you're supposed to give it back. And if someone tells you, don't give it back to me, you go give it to someone else, right? So that's the concept of paying it forward. And I can tell you, many years ago, my father, I was going through a divorce, moving, didn't have any money, and my father came and gave me $300. He may not even remember this, but I remember this to this day. He gave me $300 almost 30 years ago when I was only separated. I thought I was getting a divorce, but I didn't get a divorce at that time, but I was separated. And I didn't ask for it, didn't expect it. He showed up with it and said, you need this money. Okay, fine. Then later on, I got the money back and I went and I was like, hey, Dad, thank you. I'm going to give this back to you. And he's like, no, keep it. Right? So, and I was like, try to give it to him, wouldn't take it. No worries. Later on, I was able to give the money to somebody else and didn't ask for it back, that kind of thing. Right? So I was able to help somebody else when they were going through a divorce, when they needed help. And then I was like, hey, this was done for me. Let me do this for you. That's paying it forward. Right? Second thing, many years ago, I was in college. I went to college on scholarships, and my scholarships would come at a certain time, and then I would get the money, pay for my classes. Well, my money got messed up. Something was messed up in the system. They had lost me in the system some kind of way. I went to my instructor, who was my mentor, and I said, hey, I'm sorry. I got to drop out this semester. I'll try to come back next semester when I get the money to pay for my classes and pay for my books. She said, no, ma'am, you will not drop out. I'm going to give you this money. When you get your money, you give the money back to me. I said, okay, great. And not only that, I'm going to help you get a second job so that you won't have to worry about this ever again. So she went to her husband and said, hey, I need for you to hire my student to work for you. And he did, right? She also got me a job at the hospital, right? Phenomenal woman. I'm so sad that she's no longer here. So my money, she worked with me to go to work out what was happening. We figured out what's wrong with my money. They sent me my check, I took it and I said, hey, I signed it over. I'm giving it to you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. She said, no, ma'am. No, you would not. You keep that money. I don't want that money back. I have money. I have enough. This is an overflow. Right? And I was like, I can't keep this money. You loaned it to me. I have to pay it back. She said, no, you help somebody else. Years later, fast forward, I'm teaching in college. I have a student came to me crying. I don't have the money. Guess what I said? Guess what? I got you. You got the money today. You would not be dropping out of school. Here's the money. Don't worry about paying me back. Right? That's paying it forward. That's just a currency, right? That currency has to flow. Now, at the times when this energy came back to where I could have then helped someone or not helped someone, I 100% believe that if I had have chosen to be like, no, I'm not helping you, that I would have suffered because of me not continuing the energy currency. Now, financially, I have been blessed. Let's just tell the truth. I've been blessed. So there's people who are like, I've never earned six figures. I have. There's people who are like, they've never earned $1 million. I have. I've been really, really blessed. That doesn't mean that I don't understand how currency works. And that doesn't mean that I don't try to hold other people to that same standard of currency, right? Because just as much as I've made, I've also lost money in multiple different arenas, multiple different ways. And I understand that money is a tool and I use it as such. It's an energy and I use it simply as an energy. I don't worry about it in the sense that I do understand that I will always be taken care of. So I don't really wake up worrying about how am I going to get this money or that money. I don't worry like that. But I do understand that if I borrow money from someone, I have to pay it back. And if I can't pay it back, I have to communicate that. And if I need to say I made a mistake in trying to get this loan, I need to go back to that person, that company, because I don't borrow from people, right? But if I were to borrow from a person, that's what I would do. The last time that I actually borrowed money from a person was really, really long time ago. And it was a very small amount. And I want to say something like $10, right? It was a very small amount that I borrowed from a person and say, hey, can I borrow this until tomorrow kind of thing. But I do my best just not to borrow from people. That's not to say that I won't ever be in a situation where I have to borrow from people because you never know how life works out. But at this stage of my life, for the past 30 years, that has not been my lot in life, right? Not from individuals, right? I have borrowed from banks and stuff like that. Okay. But even then, it's all currency. It's all energy. You have to pay attention to that. It is better to not borrow and go without than to borrow and put this type of requirement of having to pay something back to someone in your life. And it kind of just blocks everything up, right? And that's also why I traditionally don't loan money that I can't give. I loaned money to someone who was a dear friend of mine for many, many years. And I loaned this money, and it was what I consider a large amount of money to be loaning, right? Because I was like, if I can't give it, I don't want to loan it. And at the time, my ex-husband convinced me, loan the money to this person because they're your friend. You know, it's okay. You got it, right? And I loaned the money to the person. And the person didn't give me any money back. And I'm still social media friends with the person. And I've watched that person end up completely homeless. In the years since I've loaned that person money, they have not one time gotten back on their feet. They get stuff and it all just slip right through their hands. And then when I was in church, I used to hear a pastor say things like that, right? And I was so hurt by the fact that this person didn't give me my money back, and I considered them a dear friend, and it was a loan, and they acted like, oh well. And I gotta tell you, years later they came back to me again and was like, hey, I'm gonna give you the money, I'm supposed to be coming into some money, and they didn't. And to this day, it has literally been 8 years and they have not recovered at all. And it's an energy exchange. And does my heart break for them? Yeah, because I don't like seeing them in that lifestyle, in that situation of what they're in. But it's an energy exchange. So I say that to say, one, if you can, just don't borrow. But if you do borrow, make sure you give the money back. If someone offers their services to you and they have a fee, pay the fee. If you can't pay the fee, don't take the services. It's better for you in the long run to just not even utilize the services, not even borrow the money, than to borrow it and break that oath that you've now created break that energy connection that you've now created. Okay? You guys take care. Have a great Friday.